Hi, my name is Gail, and I made a video game in 8 days. My first video game. And this is exactly how it happened. It all started with a crazy idea. If I gave myself 1 week to make something special, what would it be, and could I complete it? I thought long and hard about what I could do, and then it hit me. I started my YouTube channel by playing video games. So what if I made one? After that, my mind was set. I was going to make a game in a week, and 1 day, because working Monday to Monday sounded better on paper than Monday to Sunday. Day 0 is what I affectionately call the day before I started this challenge. I figured making the game would be hard enough in 8 days, so I spent day 0 thinking about what kind of game I wanted to make. I went to a place that was bound to fill me with inspiration, the Smithsonian Museum of Natural History. And because I'm not entirely sure if I'm allowed to show video footage of the museum's insides, here's a reenactment of my trip. Mammals are separated by 20% of the isn't actually Mosasaurus. With that trip done and a selfie with Darwin secured, I had created the groundwork of what would be my game. I settled on a mixture of my favorite story, Alice in Wonderland, and the Night at the Museum movies for aesthetics, and a very character-driven story made in visual novel, choose your own adventure style for gameplay. And then I came home, drew some concept art of what I had envisioned in my head, and mentally prepared myself for the nightmare ahead. My original schedule had split the 8 days into 4 2-day blocks. Due to the nature of visual novel games, there were 2 big focuses that would make or break the game, and that was the writing and the art. I felt confident about the writing portion, so I set the first 2 days for writing, the second 2 days for art, and the third 2 days for production and putting it all together. This left the last 2 days to be open for whatever step in the process took too long, which I had assumed would probably go to the art portion. I then proceeded to spend 4 days writing the script. Writing, and then more writing. I wanted there to be choices, and for those choices to be fun and have unique features and meaning, but every time I had an idea, I had to flesh out characters or rooms to facilitate that idea. And it was long and hard on my brain, because let's face it, coming up with a character idea is fun. Fleshing them out, giving them a voice and deciding how they change and react through a story and character arc is exhausting. But on the 5th day, I had a workable script for 11 scenes and 4 endings. All I had to do then was individually copy and paste all 807 lines of text into a game development program. Day 6 was dedicated to drawing every background and background change, and this is where the difficulty of this process started to mentally affect me. I do not consider myself an artist. At most, I consider myself a hobbyist and able to possibly make something look like what I intend it to. And as I tried to make backgrounds that would represent the image I had in my head, I was confronted with the limitation that was my own abilities. What I had in my head were grand, awe-inspiring views, full of color and depth, but I couldn't do that. I'm a firm believer that with enough time and effort, anyone can make anything, but I didn't have unlimited time, nor unlimited effort to spend on a background that might only be seen for a minute or two. And this disconnect of what I was capable of and what I wanted drained me. It made me hate the project because in my head it was already a colossal failure. But I pushed through, because the point of giving myself a time limit wasn't to make the best game I could. It was so that I would finish the game I did make. So I started focusing on my strengths and not my weaknesses. If I couldn't make it realistic, I'd throw more color in. If it looked too flat, speckles. Lots and lots of speckles and particle effects. And if I could copy something, you bet I reused it as much as I could. I began to make pieces that, while not art gallery worthy, at least made me happy. And then day 6 became day 7, and I started to put everything together. I used Tyranno Builder Visual Novel Studio, a $15 program I had bought from Steam years ago. I was semi-familiar with how it functioned from playing around on it before, and that was a little bit of a time saver, but this was the first time I had really attempted to make something. Thankfully, it was fairly intuitive, so I wasn't wasting hours trying to get my game just to function. I split my time between drawing more backgrounds and putting everything together. I corrected a multitude of spelling and grammatical errors thanks to my friends who put up with the most alpha of alpha versions. I started to draw my characters. And finally, I had faces to the names I had been slaving over for the past week. I remembered that I could draw some nice things. And I remembered I hate drawing humans for a reason, and that the eyes really are the windows to the soul. But I had no time to linger, for finally I had reached the dawn of the final day. I finished drawing the side characters. I searched for music and sound effects to fit the mood. I learned that MP3 is a copyrighted technology, so I had to convert every track to whatever .ogg is. I made a title screen, and I named my game. I worked till 11:50 at night, playing the game over and over and over, trying to clean up every ending, double-check every decision, check saving and loading capabilities, and test every button I could press. Then I wrote a note to any future players, and it was done. And so that is how I made a game in 8 days. And I'm pretty proud of what I made. I don't think it's the best game, and it's certainly not the prettiest, with art that is inconsistent at best, but it's a game. It's got a beginning, it's got a middle, and it's got an end, and it's playable, and it's done. I didn't like my game 100% of the time, and I wasn't really thrilled to keep working on it sometimes, but overall, I'm glad I pushed through and I finished it, and I got it over with, and now it's done. So I will put the link to the game somewhere in this space, this video space, so that you can try my crappy made in 8 days game and see for yourself what I accomplished and what I wrote and what I drew. So that's it. That's the story of how I made a video game in 8 days. And I'll see you guys in another video. Bye-bye! Hi there, it's the end of the video, my friend. Hit the bell if it was okay, I'm sure I'll make good content someday. I'll play some games or do some drawing, Pokemon and fights with darling, video essays and reviews. I couldn't do it without you, so thanks, like and subscribe.